Captain Sarah Chen stood before the crystalline gates of the great Galactic Library, her diplomatic credentials clutched in her weathered hands. The structure before her defied comprehension. A living mountain of pure information, its faceted walls pulsing with the accumulated knowledge of 10,000 civilizations. "Request denied," the keeper intoned, its voice resonating through the translator implant behind Sarah's ear. The being resembled a walking prism, light fracturing through its translucent body in patterns that hurt to follow. Humanity has contributed nothing to the repository of galactic knowledge. Entry is reserved for civilizations that have enriched our collective understanding. Sarah's jaw tightened. 3 years of diplomatic negotiations, countless resources spent on this mission to Arxis Prime, all for humanity's chance to access the greatest collection of knowledge in the galaxy. And they were being turned away like beggars at a feast. "Keeper, surely there's been some mistake," she said, forcing diplomacy into her voice. "Humanity has existed for thousands of years. We have literature, science, philosophy, irrelevant provincial scribblings," the keeper dismissed with a sound like breaking glass. "The library contains only works of true galactic significance. Your species has produced nothing worthy of preservation in our archives." Behind Sarah, Commander Torres shifted uncomfortably, his hand instinctively moving toward his sidearm. She caught his eye and shook her head slightly. This wasn't a problem they could solve with weapons.
"What would it take?"
she asked. "What contribution would grant us access?" The keeper's form shimmered with what might have been amusement. "The archives contain 847 million volumes, each a masterpiece that has shaped galactic civilization. Works that have started wars, ended conflicts, inspired revolutions of thought that spanned star systems. Your species would need to prove it has created something of similar magnitude." Sarah felt her team's disappointment like a physical weight. Dr. Martinez had spent his entire career studying xenolinguistics for this moment. Lieutenant Park had left her newborn daughter behind for this mission. They all believed that access to the library's knowledge could accelerate human development by millennia. "At least let us see what we're being denied," Sarah said. "Show us one of these great works that humanity supposedly could never match." The keeper's prismatic head tilted. "Very well. Perhaps witnessing true galactic literature will humble your species' pretensions." The air shimmered and a holographic display materialized. Ancient text in flowing alien script appeared, accompanied by the translator's rendering. 2 households, both alike in dignity in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. Sarah's breath caught. Commander Torres stepped forward, his eyes wide. That's Romeo and Juliet. That's Shakespeare." The keeper's form flickered. "Impossible. This is the foundational work of romantic tragedy by the great Thaxarian poet Shillisperer, written 3,000 years ago. It is said to be the most beautiful exploration of love transcending social boundaries in all of galactic literature." Dr. Martinez pulled out his tablet, fingers flying across the surface. "Keeper, when exactly was this work added to the library?" "The original was archived 2047 standard galactic years ago, shortly after first contact with the Thaxarian Empire." Sarah felt a smile tugging at her lips. "Show us another." The keeper, now radiating confusion, complied. New text appeared. "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness." "A Tale of Two Cities," Lieutenant Park whispered. Charles Dickens. "This is the masterwork of Zephyrian social commentary by Dickens the Wise," the keeper protested, but uncertainty crept into its harmonic voice. "It inspired 17 different planetary revolutions." "Show us more," Sarah said, her diplomatic training keeping her voice level despite the excitement building in her chest. Work after work appeared. Hamlet attributed to a Rigelian philosopher, Don Quixote credited to a Centaurian satirist, The Art of War listed as ancient Andromedan military doctrine. Each one a cornerstone of galactic civilization, each one originally written by human hands on a small blue world that the galaxy had dismissed as culturally insignificant. The keeper's light patterns were now chaotic, prismatic body flickering between colors. "This is unprecedented. These works predate first contact with your species by millennia. How is this possible?" Dr. Martinez looked up from his tablet, grinning. "Because humans didn't just write these stories, we lived them. We fought these wars, loved these loves, faced these moral dilemmas, and when other species encountered our literature, they didn't see primitive human scribbling. They saw universal truths that resonated across the galaxy. Sarah stepped forward. Our books traveled the galaxy before we did. Translated, retranslated, attributed to local authors, but always carrying the same essential human experiences: love, loss, hope, despair, the struggle between good and evil. It seems these themes speak to more than just our species. The keeper was silent for long moments, its form cycling through the spectrum. When it spoke again, its voice carried a new note of reverence. The Arxesian Council must be informed immediately. If what you claim is true, the great being paused. The species that has unknowingly provided the philosophical and emotional foundation for galactic civilization cannot be denied access to the very knowledge they helped shape. The crystalline gates began to open, revealing corridors that stretched beyond sight, filled with the accumulated wisdom of the galaxy. "Welcome to the Great Library," the keeper said, its voice now warm with respect. "We have much to discuss, and perhaps it is time for the galaxy to know the true origin of its most treasured stories." As Sarah stepped through the gates, she thought of all the human authors who had died, never knowing that their words would one day serve as the moral and emotional compass for civilizations among the stars. Shakespeare would have loved the irony. Behind her, the rest of humanity's first diplomatic mission to the Great Library followed, no longer as supplicants, but as the unrecognized architects of galactic culture finally coming home.